So, good morning for all of you. Today is our second lecture, or today is our second session. So, I hope you can remember the stuffs what we learned in system analysis and design module. So we have done the difference of the data and information, and not only that, when it comes to system analysis and design, how the managers and how the operational level, how the CEOs, chief, what we call the CEOs, CPOs, and those one, the strategic planners, decision makers work, and what are the levels of them, top, middle, and low. All these ones we already discussed about. We already discussed uh, in last week. So today we are going to talk about the life cycle of the system analysis and design. As I told you again, this is kind of a theoretical lecture, theoretical module, but you might be able to do few UML diagrams, user case diagrams. Uh, you will be able to get some hands-on experience as well throughout this entire module. So yes, please join with me, listen carefully, and if you have any questions, just drop me a message via LMS so that I can reply for you for all the questions what you have. Now, when it comes to system analysis and design life cycle, here I have mentioned the contents. So, today we will be discussing about the life cycle. When it comes to life cycle, we will be discussing about the requirements determination, how we, according to the context or according to the problem, how we gonna gather our requirements, and how we gonna determine what are the requirements we need to collect, and also we will be doing requirement specifications as well. As the second as the second task. So here we are mentioning that we are going to talk about the life cycle. So then we will be discussing about the feasibility analysis and also the final specifications, how we gonna document those ones, and the hardware and the software, and the system design, system implementation, system evaluations, and the system modifications. How we gonna do all these things here we will be discussing. And also as the third point, we will be discussing uh, from here also there might be, we might have some system analysis in future. So the role of the system analyst in our university also, there we have a positions, we have few positions on this designation as well for all the systems. You will be learning those ones, what will be a system killer. So the LMS also Moodle also kind of a system. So we will be learning the role of the system analysts, and also what are the attributes of their, and what are the attributes of him or her as a system analyst, and also what are the tools which we need to use when we analyze our system. Okay. So then the motivation will be designing information system for an organization is a very complex job, and also you all should know, as students, you all should know how to logically divide a complex job into smaller manageable steps as well. And also each steps must have a logical beginning and end, beginning and the end, and also must be self contained as well. So here we have few motivation, motivation in the sense that's the reason why we need to learn this system analysis and design. The reason why we learn these system analysis and design. So here we have the learning goals. At the end of the entire session, you will be able to learn about the 9 steps, which is in designing information systems, and also what are the tasks performed in each steps. Not only that, the nature of each and every tasks performed by the systems analysts, and also the attributes and also the tools which is related to the system analysts. All these ones are you will be able to learn those stuffs during this today's lesson. Okay. Okay. Now this is kind of a very easy lesson. So here the life cycle of systems analysis and design. So steps involved in analysis and design. So first step is the requirements determination, and the second requirement is specific requirements specification. As the third step, we need to do the feasibility analysis, and then we need to do the final specifications. As the fourth, we need to do the hardware study. As sixth, we need to do the system design. As the seventh, we need to do the system implementation. As the last 2 steps, we need to do the system evaluation and then the system modification. Now we will be learning about each steps. What are the tasks we have to complete or we have to do during this each step scale. Okay. Now the first step, which is requirements determination. Think what is the meaning on this requirements determination. What are the things we do normally when it comes to the first step, when we are in this first stage? So in this first stage may be arrived at by a consensus among managers, and also priorities among applications determined, and pick high priority applications. So actually what we need to do when it comes to system, first we have to list down what are the applications and uh, what are the things we need to consider while we are analyzing or while we are building this system. So there, after list down all these ones, after list down all these determinations, okay, once we completed the requirements list, then we can say that we need to complete the requirements list. So after we completing this requirements list, then what we need to do, we need to take or we need to order that requirements list according to the high priority to low priority. Okay, high priority to low priority. Because as the first stage, we just do what we normally do, we just list down all the requirements. අපිට මතකෙට එන විදිහට we just list down all the requirements. We are not thinking whether it is high priority or whether it is priority, whether we need to prioritize it or else whether it's kind of a less priority තිබ්බට කමක් නෑ තිබ්බොත් හොඳයි වගේ දෙයක්ද. So all these ones we need to determine. So under this stage, what we normally do, we just list down. We talked with managers. Okay, we talk with managers and we talk with actually the system user, which means the customer or the consumer. We have to connect with them and determine what are the requirements, and we need to list down all these requirements one by one, and then we need to pick what? We need to pick high priority applications we need to build. and we need to consider. That's what we do on this stage 1 as the requirements determination. And then we have the second stage, that is requirements specification. So here, as the first stage, what we did, we just list down all the requirements. We did what are the requirements. We think about what are the requirements. We determine what are the requirements we need to consider when it comes to analyze this entire system, or when it comes to design this entire system. But on the second stage, second step, what we do, we just consider the requirements specifications. There, it is known as system requirement specifications. We need to document the SRS document, what we call the system requirements specification. And also we need to understand the existing system. We need to understand about the existing system. If we have a kind of a ongoing system, or if we have already a system, then first what we need to do, we have to study about this system and we need to understand this system first. And as the third step, applications where a system is required are listed. Now again, we need to compare what we need rather than what we have in existing system. The drawbacks of the existing systems. What are the benefits or what are the usage we can get from this existing system, and also why we are building up a new system or why we are modifying this new system. We need to list out all those applications. If we have an existing system, we need to, what we have to do, we need to list down what are the applications or what are the tasks that system can be done, and ඒ වගේම ඊට වඩා අලුතෙන් what are the tasks we need to add, or add what we add but we don't have available in this existing systems. අන්න ඒ කියන categories දෙකේම applications we have to list it down. And then we need to arrive at the specifications of the user's requirements after discussions with the user, and then a system may encompass several applications as well. So that is what we have in requirement specification. Then the third step, feasibility analysis. Okay, now feasibility study, feasibility analysis, or else we can say we are doing an feasibility analysis. What we called a feasibility analysis is, so under this feasibility analysis solutions, we are checking whether අපිට මේ system එක analyze කරන්න or system එක design කරන්න පුළුවන්ද, විය හැකියාව. So here we are just formulating all the goals of the system and quantify those goals. අපි ඒකත් number කරනවා ඒ goals. And then we are finding alternative methods of meeting the goals. Not only that, for each alternative assess resources needed. So for all these alternatives, actually, what we need, resources are needed. So here, when it comes to resources, we have the human resources and we have time and money resource, and also maybe sometimes we need more equipments as well. So here we have the equipments also needed. So these are kind of few resources which we need when it comes to designing or analyzing and system. And then we need to assess cost of each alternative. If we have few alternative solutions, if we have few alternative methods or alternative systems or alternative applications we can use, we need to assess the cost as well there. If not, what will happen? we will be waste our time and both the cost, both the money and time as well. So find the best alternative method subject to resource constraints as well. Now, these are the tasks what we follow or what we do when it comes to feasibility analysis. Then we have the final specifications. So under this final specification, what are the things we normally do? Think, think for a while. Now we already learned about three stages. The first stage is requirements determination. And the second stage is we have the requirement specification. And the third stage is the feasibility analysis. As the fourth stage, now we are in final specification. Okay. Then for the final specifications, what are the things we should know? For the final specifications, what are the things we should know? What are the things you should know under these final specifications? So as the fourth stage, we are in final specifications. So what are the final specifications we need when it comes to designing a system? Specifications would state that the system would achieve. What are the things we should achieve throughout this entire system? Then specification drawn up are improved from implementations. Why we need these specifications? These ones are bringing because it improved for implementations. And also for this SRS, what we called SRS is System Requirements Specifications. So when it comes to System Requirement Specification document, so this document is given to user and agreement reached as well. So these are the few final specifications what we cover on this fourth stage. Okay. Then we have the fifth stage. There we are studying about the hardware. So we determine what are the hardware parts we need to have when it comes to designing or developing this system, and also what are the softwares we need for this process. So on this fifth stage, fifth step, as the hardware study, we determine hardware and the software required to execute the applications. Not only that, we determine the response time, volume of data to be processed, and also the frequencies of reports, etc. And then pick the hardware. So we decide or we study about both hardware and the software here, and then pick for the hardware part. Now we are in the sixth step, or we are in the sixth stage. So here for the system design, the sixth stage is actually the system design. So under the system design, we are thinking about logical design of the system. We will be discussing what is logical system in near future, and also what are the objects which we need to identify, and also how the database will be designed, how we gather all this data, and also how we store all this data, how this storing part or the database will be designed for this task, and also we will be thinking about the program specifications drawn up and also the implementation plan drawn up. And finally, we will be discussing about the test plans as well. These are kind of few tests, few things, few tasks which we normally do under this system designs. Okay. Then we have the seventh stage. Earlier, I think you can remember we have only 9 stages. So what is the first step? First step is requirements determination. And the second step is requirements specification. And the third step is feasibility analysis. And the fourth step is the final specification. And as the fifth step, we have the hardware study. As the sixth step, we have the system design. Under this system design, we are doing the logical design of the system. Logical design we will be discussing in future, and we will be identifying what are the objects we have there, and also how the database will be designed, and the database designing part, how the data will be gathered and how we stored all this data, and then program specification drawn up. Not only that, once we completed the program specifications, then the implementation plan also we need to execute. Finally, on this system design stage, we will be doing the test plan as well. Then we have the seventh stage, the system implementation. So here we have the write programs, and then so now see, as the sixth step, we design the system. We did these tasks focusing on the designing system. Now, as the seventh stage, we are in implementation part. We are in system implementation part. So here we are doing coding, write programs. We are coding the entire system. We create the database. Earlier we planned, we designed the database. Here we create the database and then document the system and train the users how they have to use this entire system. So trial run of the system. We will be having a trial run of the system. And also, finally, we will be having the test and the accept. Those are the things we have to do on this system implementation. Last two stages. Once we completed the implementation part, then we need to test it. We need to evaluate the system. To evaluate the system, what we have to do? We need to find out from users whether the system meets the noted or listed specified requirements. Do we have to do any changes? Do we need to do any modifications on this system? So we need to list the areas of dissatisfactions, and we have to find out the reasons for their dissatisfactions. Not only that, if they have any fewer dissatisfactions also, then we need to suggest what are the improvements we can do to this entire system. So we need to suggest if there has to be any improvements to the systems. Okay, these are the things which we do under this stage on this step 8 as the system evaluation. Last one. Once we evaluate the system, if we completed the evaluating part, then we have the outputs as the listed dissatisfactions and also listed dissatisfaction areas and the reasons which we found for those dissatisfactions or disagreements, then the suggestions, the suggestions, if there has to be any more improvements, so we have those items in our hands when we completed this system evaluation. Then the last step will be according to that user requirements, according to that user, what we call the user feedback, we will be modifying our system. So here, as the last stage, we need to do the modifications according to the findings. So here we have to do the error fixing part, and sometimes we need to add some new features, or maybe if there are any dissatisfaction features, then we need to delete those features as required by the users. And also we need to tune the system, and finally we need to continuously monitor the system and assess the entire performance as well. So this is what we call life cycle of systems analysis. Now, what are the stages? If I go through once, as the first step or as the first stage, we have requirements determination, and as the second step, we have requirement specification, and as the third step, we have feasibility analysis, and as the fourth step, we have the final specifications, and as the fifth step, we have hardware study, and as the sixth step, we have the system designs part, and as the seventh step, we have system implementation. And finally, once we completed our implementation part, then we need to do the system evaluation and also the system modifications. Once we completed with these new modifications, we are done with the entire system. Okay, we are done with the entire system. That's what we call the life cycle of the systems analysis. Here we have the entire diagram, each and every step I have mentioned here. So you can see that the entire system life cycle diagram. Okay, so we are starting with the requirements determination, and here when we reach here, we are our implementation part is completed, but we are releasing kind of a improved system. So that's what we have as the entire systems life cycle diagram. Now the last part, the role of system analysts. Maybe there might be few people here also in near future doing their jobs as the systems analyst. So as the system analyst, you have to do, these are the tasks, or these are the things what you have to do. One is you need to define all the requirements. So to complete that one, you might need to involve with users as well. You need to do more interviews as well. And then once we completed with the requirements, once we listed out all these requirements, once we define all these requirements, then we need to prioritize all these requirements. So here, when it comes to prioritizing the requirements, we need to obtain users' consensus. And then as the third step, we have to do fact gathering as well. So there, when it comes to facts, maybe data, we have to gather all this data. What are the data we need to develop this system? And what are the facts we need to consider? And what are the opinions we have to consider of managers? So all these ones we need to gather. And also the lower level users should be consulted as well. Okay. And then analysis and the evaluation part. When it comes to analysis and the evaluation part, systems analyst has to arrive at appropriate system. And also he needs to have the ability to solving problems as well. He need to uh, has the capability to handle all these requirements. Maybe sometimes it might be hassle, it might be a hassle, but they need to get the requirements from the user, and then they need to convert all those requirements into specific requirements as well. And also system analyst should have the capability to solve problems. When it comes to problem solving, they need to have the capacity, they need to have the ability to suggest many alternative solutions as well. They have to study always what are the other systems which is available to complete or to do this requirement. He or she, the system analyst, need to have kind of a thorough knowledge about the outer world as well. So here, and also system analyst needs to quantify the costs and the benefits as well. Not only that, drawing up the specifications. When it comes to drawing up the specifications, we have two types of specifications. One is functional specification. The other one is the non-functional specification. If we first discuss about the functional specifications, there we need to understood by users and the programmers. So what are these functional specifications? These functional specifications means the specifications which understood by the users and also the programmers. And also these functional specifications should accepted by the users. If there are any disagreements, that's where we revised our system again and release kind of a improved version of our system. So then we need to have precise and the detailed version, and also it should be account for possible changes as well. Now, when it comes to system design, there we have the logical design of the system. So when it comes to logical design, we need to identify what are the objects we have, and we need to normalize the database. You will be learning the database management system in next year as the, yeah, if you selected to do BSc in IT, degree, then if you selected to do that one, then you will be able to do this database module as well. So there you will be learning about the normalizing database, and then you need to have the proper what we call the proper test plan to test the entire system. So design must be modular to accommodate changes. These are the things what we refer when it comes to system design. And then here we have the evaluating systems. So evaluation after use, for sometimes evaluation needs to be done at the earlier stage as well. And also once we release the um, modified system also, we need to have few evaluations after few months because the requirements might be changed. So according to those changed requirements, we need to change or we need to modify our system as well. To do that, we need to do an evaluation, QA, quarterly or else biannually or else annually at least. So plan periodicity for evaluation. That's what I told you. It might be monthly නම් ගොඩක් වෙලාවට requirements might not change, maybe biannually or after 6 months, or else if it is maybe sometimes after 2 years. Likewise, we need to have a proper plan for this evaluation to do, and also then modify as needed. Then what are the attributes of a system analyst? Here we have the knowledge of the organizations. We need to have a proper system analyst need to have a proper knowledge of organization. There we need to know users jargons and the practices, and also we need to know management functions as well. And when it comes to the knowledge of the computers and the softwares, which means the hardware parts and the software parts, there we need to have the knowledge of the system design tool, and also we need to keep abreast of modern developments as well. So all these attributes needs to have by a systems analyst. Good interpersonal relations as well. There we need to work as team member and lead smaller teams as well. And also maybe sometimes the interface will be there. Interface, we have to create an interface with programmers and users as well. And also systems analyst need to be a motivator as well. Maybe sometimes users are not agree to use this one, then the system analyst need to come up and give reasons why they have to use this entire system. He or she, the system analyst, needs to motivate the entire users. An ability to communicate the oral presentation and the report writing and the answer queries. These abilities also the system analyst needs. At last, system analyst needs to have the analytical mind. When it comes to analytical mind, the systems analyst needs to have the problem solving attribute and the ability to assess trades off, and also common sense as well. And finally, curiosity to learn about new organizations, new available, the other available systems, compare those systems. Always needs to have the curiosity to learn about new organizations. And the breadth of the knowledge, broad liberal knowledge, and the variety of jobs to be tackled in diverse organizations as well. And then as the last part, what are the tools used by the systems analyst? So one tool will be the data flow diagram, and then they will be using the decision tables, and also as a modeling language, they are using UML. Then they need to have, or they are using the normalizations of the databases methods and the tools as well. And testing tools, they need to do QA. So they are using few tools now, and also ISO or CMM procedure manuals as well, to check whether our system is up to the standard. That's what we have to talk on this entire lesson as the second lesson of the system analysis and design, as the life cycle of the system analysis and design. So please go through with this entire lesson and let me know if you have any questions. Always check on the LMS whether there are any practical or tutorials to do and submit as well. Thank you so much for listening. Then see you on next video.